So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to speak to you again this evening. I know it's the end of a long day, but I guess not so long considering all of us are interested so much in OH. I don't know if I can be called an expert in OH, but yes, I have been in the A&M industry for some time and possibly have a good understanding of how each medium works and interacts with the other. And on OH, I have over the years developed a point of view on what outdoors should do to grow this medium and catch the fancy of more advertisers. I therefore titled my talk, How Do We Grow OH Share to 10% from the current 4%. I must confess that some of these thoughts I did express at the WOO conference in Malaysia, and I think a handful of you were there, so my apologies to them if this sounds like a repetition. WARC, W-A-R-C, who many of you have heard me talk about, who puts out estimates of addicts for the world and for many countries, and who I believe offers us a reliable, credible, and independent source, estimates that this year global addicts will record an ad spend of over $1 trillion and will establish a compound annual growth rate of 7% in the last 5 years. Now, by Indian standards, 7% may not sound impressive, but remember, I'm talking about global addicts, and the 5 years includes one COVID year or probably 1.5 COVID years. So I think growth rates in the advertising market globally can be considered impressive by today's standards. Whilst growth rates from 2018 to 2022 have been yo-yoing, as you can see in this chart, from a high of 17.7 to a low of 1.3, the good news is that we are now seeing a steady accelerating growth from 3.5% in 2022 to a projected 8.3% in 2024. Remember, now I'm talking about global addicts because I want to give you a global picture of what is happening cumulatively when you combine all countries together, because I believe that is required to get a better understanding of what we need to do to grow the OH market in India. Now, everybody knows this, but it jolts me every time I see charts like this, that digital continues to grow by leaps and bounds and has increased its share even in the last 5 years from 69% to a projected 75% in 2024. The change is, of course, much more dramatic if you took the last 10 years. And what's more, digital is the only medium that has really grown in share in the last 5 years. So it has grown actually at the expense of every other medium, including the mighty television. Print, as we all know, has lost serious market share to digital in the last decade. But the good news is that in the last 5 years, the rate of decline has lowered. Of course, in India, you must know that the story for print is a little different from the rest of the world. Against a global share of just 3%, print in India commands a share of 19%. Also, unfortunately, WARC expects OH globally to drop share in 2024. So here is an interesting chart I put together, and I have not seen many do this kind of analysis. You will see in this chart that digital has not just grown as a standalone medium, but digital technology has penetrated every other medium significantly. In television, we have connected TV, where the delivery is through use of digital technology, and that contributes 17% now to total TV. In OH, digital contributes 32% to overall OH. Print's web versions contribute 30% to print publishers' revenue, and podcasts and whatnot contribute 35% to radio or audio. So it does strike me that very soon we will have to really recategorize these labels of print and TV and radio and conceptualize some other terminology to give us a better understanding of how intermedia is working. Of course, television and digital universally across the world in almost every country are the two big boys and contribute close to 90% of ADEX. So really, when one talks about advertising, you could say it's all about television and digital. And I think it is for us in this room to take on the challenge of bringing outdoor into this set. If I take a closer look at the OH medium, including digital OH, WARC estimates that total ADEX in 2024 will be at 53 billion USD, up from 49 billion, with almost the entire increase coming from digital OH. If I go into some details, after degrowing 14% during COVID year, note globally ADEX in OH ADEX degrew only 14%. In India, there was a big carnage. But then OH grew very sharply by 20% in 2021 and now is expected to grow by 7% in 2024. If you take the last few years, you will see from this graph that total ADEX and OH ADEX mirror similar growth rates. This is good news according to me, because if you take the 10-year period before the last few years, OH growth always lagged total ADEX growth. So it does tell me that recognition of digital OH is tremendous, its contribution is tremendous, and its recognition by the advertiser is also now getting firmly established or appreciated. Now, this is the next chart is a very nice chart where I have tried to do an analysis to see which countries have the highest growth of OH share. Now you will see in this table that China tops the list for the last 3 years with a share that is almost 4 times that of the global average. According to WARC, in China, OH share is 14% against the global share of 3%. The other countries with a high market share besides China are Japan, France, Germany, to some extent Australia and Brazil. Perhaps this chart leads me to make a suggestion to IOAA that they should undertake a study tour and take its leading members to these countries, especially China, Japan, and France, to study what circumstances have led to these countries having such a high OH share. I've also tried to do an analysis to see whether there are sharp differences in category-wise contribution to global ADEX and OH ADEX, to see if OH in India should give special attention to certain categories. I must say that this analysis shows that the differences in global ADEX listing and OH listing by category are not very different, except FMCG, which is under-indexed on OH. And in India, the extent of under-indexing is huge because FMCG accounts for 33% of Indian ADEX, whereas it accounts for only 7 to 8% of Indian OH. Another area where OH is under-indexed seems to be technology and electronics, which are indeed growing areas, and therefore I think we must make special efforts with advertisers in these categories to convince them about OH's capability in building brands in these categories. Now, in the interest of time, I will not dwell so much on the Indian OH ADEX and total Indian ADEX. I trust all of you are a little familiar with our pitch Madison figures that we put out every February. Suffice it to say, in 23, our OH share of total ADEX was 4%, similar to the global share. But fortunately for us, our growth rate at 13% is almost twice the global growth rate, which is indeed very good news for everyone in this room. And it tells me that we are doing a much better job in OH than the rest of our colleagues around the world. Now, the next chart is unfortunately not very flattering. As you know, the world now has substantial computing power and it's available at relatively cheap prices. And there are consultants and companies who do all kinds of sophisticated analysis to satisfy the advertiser's desire to calculate ROI on ad spend. This is, of course, understandable considering that our advertiser friends are going to spend a little over $1 trillion in 2024 in advertising. This chart, put out by a respectable company, Ubiquity and Gain Theory, based on as many as 1954 observations, suggests that television delivers the highest ROI at 71%. Online video, radio, and unfortunately OH also gets clubbed here, delivers only just 3 to 4%. Thankfully, not many advertisers are taking this chart very seriously. So, on a contrasting note, since the focus of my talk is how do we increase our market share to 10%, I spoke to a few advertisers who use outdoor, but who also use other media like television and print and digital to see what is their view on outdoor. So let's take a look at two advertisers from the finance category, which does use outdoor in a big way, and see what they have to say. My purpose in showing these next few videos is to see if you can pick out something from what they are saying, obviously good for outdoor, to take this idea and take it to more advertisers. Can we have the video?
I've always loved out of home for three specific reasons. One, in its large format options, it's like cinema. It gives the brand real stature, which used to be static, but now thanks to digital outdoor, it's also dynamic, and so it's exactly like film on a large screen outdoors. The second reason is that it's flexible. I can change messaging overnight. I can be really tactical. I can respond to things in the environment. And the third is it can get really hyper local. For example, around our branches, I can make really local messaging, etc. The one thing I want from the industry is I want monitoring, which is reliable, and I want standardization of the metrics.
Take a look at what another mutual fund advertiser has to say.
Hi friends, I'm Jignesh Dauda, Vice President Marketing at IDFC Mutual Funds. In today's world, where we have plethora of options to showcase our products and services via TV, print, digital and outdoor, I personally feel outdoor has a great opportunity to go ahead. Being the oldest medium in the world, outdoor provides you with opportunities of doing a CSR, like giving back to the society by maintaining gardens and circles. Outdoor also has a great opportunity to be there as an impact and always on. Unlike other mediums where you can skip the ads or you can switch the channels or the shelf life is one day, outdoor has great opportunity of providing you a long lasting effect. Thank you.
Here is the Vice President Marketing of Parley Agro. He says, we at Parley Agro use outdoor quite extensively during our peak season because we find that outdoor delivers all our messages with great impact, and the ROI on outdoor is also good. During season, we spend 20% of our media budget on outdoor. So here is a large advertiser who spends 20% on outdoor, but at a macro level, our share is only 4%. Now see what a large Indian automotive maker who is making a lot of news these days says.
Hi, this is Vivek Srivat from Tata Motors. Over the last few campaigns, we've increasingly depended on out of home media to spread our brand message. It gives us a very key advantage by repeatability and thus enhancing consideration among the target audience. And for a high engagement category like automotive and cars, repeat visibility and the ability to showcase our product over a large landscape provides a very, very important advantage. And for me, the biggest advantage with out of home as a media is to provide uniform messaging across the country simultaneously and over a long period of time, which makes it a very, very strong medium. And I believe out of home will continue to gain significance and relevance in the future. Thank you.
And my last video is from the CMO of a FMCG company. Remember, FMCG contributes 33% to India's ADEX.
Outdoor is an ideal media choice for rapid awareness generation, could be for a new brand launch or a brand restage. I think when used in combination with other mediums, outdoor tends to not only build reach but also significantly boost brand fame. I think one of the ways to look at improving ROI is to plan for micro clusters, which are over indexed on your brand volume or your source of growth, rather than look at a city-wise bombardment. I think measurement is still a pain point with no third party syndicated data source providing reach, frequency, delivery numbers. I think this can potentially unlock investments at scale once integrated into cross media planning tools. Thank you.
So, by and large, I think all of you would agree, these are really glowing tributes in favor of the outdoor medium and from a wide spectrum of people. Then, of course, as intelligent people, we should ask ourselves this question: why is our share just 4%? Now, I have some hypothesis based on my limited experience. The first, I would say, is widespread diffused ownership. A lot of the issues could get resolved if there are few large corporate players with good holding power to deal with agencies, clients, and equally with the authorities. There is, unfortunately, lack of widespread advertiser confidence. This stems from lack of credible third-party monitoring, third-party credible industry-supported and recognized viewership data. But I think on this point, we are making some good progress. The progress is there, but unfortunately, it's very slow. But we should consider ourselves lucky that after, I think, 15 years of trying, we are making some progress. And very importantly, lack of clear guidelines of local regulatory bodies rendering legality of the sites in question. About 2 years ago, I was involved in one ugly incident where I think 3 of Madison clients were involved who got serious notices from the government for going foul of the law. Now imagine if such a notice goes to the managing director or the CEO of the company, is he going to allow his company to be open to such risks and take outdoor? Obviously not. But so we have to do something about it. We have to impress the powers that be to get their act right. Another point that I'd like to make wearing my cross media hat is that there are inadequate selling efforts by sales teams to both educate and sell to media planning agencies and advertisers, resulting in inadequate awareness of the opportunities that exist in outdoor, unlike the efforts put in by print, TV, radio, and digital. I somehow get the feeling that outdoor site owners don't make a conscious attempt to reach out to advertisers to convince them about the brand building capability of outdoor and sell what they have to sell, unlike other mediums. Now, all of this, to my mind, has resulted in a small customer base of advertisers who spend big money on outdoor. This is a telling chart that I've tried to put together. It's not perfect, but it gives you some sort of directional data as to why OH is not growing as much as we want it to. To start with, see how few serious advertisers we have who spend more than 1 crore rupees on outdoor. Just 550 is our estimate. Maybe somebody else may come up with an estimate of 750. That's fine. But see the number of advertisers in print. See the number of advertisers in TV. 10,679. So, if you really ask me, I think the one important thing that we as an industry have to do is to sell the concept of OH or outdoor to large advertisers. Surely in the country, there are so many large advertisers. Take a look at our Pitch Madison list and see how many of these large advertisers spend nothing on OH. So, in closing, what should we do to target this 10% share of ADEX, say 3 or 5 years from now? First, let me state that I personally am extremely bullish about the prospects of OH in the coming years in India because of the arrival of technology in OH, the arrival and rapid adoption of digital OH, and the immense possibility that programmatic will offer to advertisers, which enables optimum use of even non-marquee sites. As some of you know, I have put my money where my mouth is and invested in Lemma, which you see in quite a few places in this room today. All of this, I think, will allow OH to operate not just in the OH market, which is estimated at 4%, but participate in the larger digital market and the larger TV market, whose main characteristics are audio plus visual, which has been lapped up by advertisers. Advertisers conventionally have always believed that their message, when it's in audio plus visual, is far more powerful than when it's only in print or only in audio in radio. But I believe to take advantage of this, we need to do a few things. We need to develop category wise knowledge and expertise. We need to develop case studies of when outdoor works and how it works, what works in outdoor, and equally importantly, what doesn't work in outdoor. Understand why some countries do better, China and Japan in particular. Understand why some categories do better, like retail. And we need to present these case studies and talk about this in A&M industry fora and A&M journals and websites and in one-to-one meetings with agency and advertisers. We then need to develop testimonials from prominent marketing people who have used outdoor and are happy with it and are willing to speak about it, like some that I showed you today. We need to get the media planner at the main media agency, not the outdoor media agency, who is conventionally media agnostic and who has the ear of the advertisers to be familiar with successful outdoor case studies, the opportunities available, and the mechanics in terms of rates, impressions, viewership, and whatnot. And of course, we need to build advertiser confidence in outdoor, trying to take care of as many impediments that I mentioned before. My last point is on the importance of creative in outdoor. Historically, creative reputations of individuals or agencies have never been built on creative created for outdoor. Advertisers also spend 95% of their time agonizing or developing creative for advertising films, and even those who use outdoor do not pay adequate attention to creative used on outdoor. I believe this is a real acute problem that is preventing outdoor from reaching its full potential. I think if we address this problem alone, it would improve outdoor share from 4% to at least 6%. Because if you're not going to focus on what is on the site, how will it ever work for the advertiser? Now, I'm told my time is up, so I won't bore you with some of the creatives that I wanted to show you to highlight what in my view is bad creative and what in my view is good creative. I think some of you have heard me talk about this at the end many times before, but if you can go to that second last, a simple rule of thumb. So a simple rule of thumb as I see it should be not more than 5 words, one dominant visual or word, flat, bold colors. I think, pardon the simplicity of my thinking, but I believe if 80% of our outdoor billboards followed this principle, the ROI on outdoor would double. I'll skip this next point also. I want to end by saying that it is true that technology will continue to give the Midas touch to outdoor. And I think none of us in this room are today even able to visualize what awaits us tomorrow. And therefore, I want to end with this one clip that really fascinated me when I saw it because I just could not believe it.
Welcome to the future here at the Detroit airport. You scan your boarding pass, look up at a giant screen, and you see only your flight information, even how many minutes it'll take you to walk to your gate. But only you can see it. It doesn't matter if you're standing right next to one other person or 100. Each person only sees their own information. Mind blown.
It's otherworldly.
And I can't see a thing.
that is insane.
Can you read that for mommy at the top? What does it say?
Hello, George.
What?
No way, that's so cool. I can't see anything.
Like, I literally don't. How is that possible?
It's possible because of Albert Ng. Ng started developing his parallel reality technology in 2014.
Above our heads is a motion sensor that detects moving objects as they're walking around. It's non-biometric. It doesn't know anything about each of those objects that are walking around.
Pretty amazing. Congratulations on this.
It seems like a movie set in a slightly scary future where people's eyes identify them to advertisers on big screens. But this technology does not use your eyes or your face. The only thing that identifies you is the shape of your body.
That's remarkable that you're standing right next to me and you can't see that.
So even though the flight boards that exist today have the flight information, it's a list of 100 flights. And it's on you to look through that flight information board to find your flight.
Ng says the technology is especially important for foreign travelers who don't always understand what's on the regular information boards. And his plan was to quietly debut this technology in Detroit for the masses, for ordinary travelers, with no facial scans, no apps, no gadgets, just a boarding pass. And his long-term vision?
So as soon as you enter the airport, greets you by name, lets you know where you need to go, which security checkpoint's the easiest for you, arrows lighting your path all the way through the airport towards your gate, reminding you how many minutes you have to walk.
And someday, you could see the technology in hotels, theme parks, and stadiums, all by the time this guy is an adult.
Hello, George.
Andy Rothschild, TRT World, Detroit, Michigan.
Thank you very much, everyone, for listening to me.